We're talking about letting go and trusting. And there were a couple of reasons why I was inspired to do that. First, I'm going to have a sip of something. One was because we have this concept, we have this way of remembering what to do with our clocks at this time of year, one of the 2 times of year when we change our clocks, and that's to fall back. And the thing is, it's funny, I met somebody this morning who got it mixed up. She set all her clocks ahead, went to bed, then sat up bolt upright and said, oh my gosh, I got it wrong, and then changed them all again, but not all of them, and ended up having a restless night because she got it backwards. Anyway, this concept of fall back was one of the 2 inspirations for today's message, because we have this opportunity to trust, right? Now, I haven't actually done anything like that. I think I did try something. There was a type of dancing, like in clubs when I was in college, that kind of looked like that. I tried it once. Just once. So anyway, of course, there's this concept of falling back, and it requires that we let go and trust. And the funny thing is that if I go back to this, it says let go and trust. And I thought, well, gosh, in order to let go, you got to trust. So which is first? I think really we have to trust so that we can let go. And then what? Trust some more. So they're really a package deal, these 2 things. We can't seem to do one without the other, right? Let go and trust. So that was one of the inspirations for today's message, was simply to play with that concept of falling back. And that's because in order to accomplish anything, really, of any significance, we have to find that place within us that does trust. And sometimes we do it, we say we leave claw marks, right? We do it with fear. We walk through fear to do it. And sometimes we do it more easily. It's just that to really accomplish and to experience life, at some point, it's something that we need to be able to do. We can't simply just do it all by ourselves, because it doesn't work that way. Oops. So we have let go. And notice that there's a faint letter on the end of the word go there, okay? Yeah, and we have trust. We have both of those things. The interesting thing about the way this all works is that we have something very significant coming up on Tuesday. And I love that in my position as a minister, that one of the agreements that I have made is to be neutral when it comes to politics. What a relief. I have my private thoughts, and yet because I have made a commitment not to post and not to protest or see, some of them have to do with my willingness to be neutral, and some of them have to do with being a science of mind minister. So between the 2, I tend to take an objective view, a removed view. I do not presume that each one of us has the same beliefs or values, dreams or desires, objectives, that each one of us sitting here right now has exactly the same preference as to how they'd like everything to turn out. I get to focus on what's always true, no matter what. And so this concept of letting go and trusting also applies to what's happening on Tuesday, doesn't it? It does. Because ultimately, we do the best that we can, and we have to let go. And we have to trust the outcome, no matter what it is. Really, to be a good sport in the universe, that's what we get to do, isn't it? Isn't it? So, I love that. So 2 inspirations for today's talk, and I want to read something that Ernest Holmes said about trust. It's actually on page 33 in the Science of Mind textbook. It says, when we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. We must learn to come under that divine government and accept the fact that nature's table is ever filled. Never was there a cosmic famine. God is God. No matter what our emotional storm, how about that, or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is that eternal voice, forever whispering in our ear that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. Just love that. So we have this opportunity, of course, we know this, to learn to trust. We have this opportunity, as we know, to learn to come under what he refers to here as the divine government. We know that's the law of cause and effect. That's this responsive, creative aspect of the universe that it's putting forth and bringing our experience to us according to what we believe. And we can trust, think about trusting that divine government as he refers to it there. It's saying that Spirit, Creator, the Absolute, whatever you choose to call it, is running the show. And not in the way that we may have been taught earlier in life as an external patriarchal governing body or anything like that. But by implanting within every one of us and all of creation these things of love and law, this thing of divine direction and responsive activity that always take care of everything, all the time. So this concept of divine government is not like, somebody up there telling me what to do. It's something that is provided for all of life. It made all of life out of itself in its image and likeness, and that includes us. So it's an inside job. It's a thing that happens from within us. So we learn to come under that divine government and accept that nature's table is ever filled. Have you ever had an experience where you just were at your wit's end, and then when you gave up, it all fell into place, and you said, "Oh, of course, I just forgot." Well, we can come to life from this place of like a belief system that's like Swiss cheese. It's got a bunch of holes in it, and we can think that those good things that come along are temporary, they're sporadic, they're a matter of fate or luck of the draw or something like that, rather than something that is constant, that is an eternal reality. So we're talking about the willingness to develop a kind of trust that nature's table is forever filled and that presence is always with us. I love this line, because right after that in the quote says, "no matter what." And no matter what is another thing that now reminds me of Sandy Wade. When we read a legacy that she wrote for herself, she said that her job was to love, no matter what. And it just stuck. Because she was a perfect example of identifying an abiding spiritual principle and choosing to line up with it and to embody it and to express it no matter what. The words "no matter what" are very high spiritual principles. Those are really good things for us to know. Because we are tempted, right? Some people say, "Well, I don't watch much television, but I turned it on to watch something else, and boom, there was that thing that caught my attention and got me going again." You know, some of us, we try to guard what we're exposed to, and it still pops up on our phones now, as a matter of fact. I got this thing on my phone that tricks me into looking at the news. I don't know whose slant or where it comes from. If I swipe the wrong way, it's just there. And on our computers. So we have these opportunities to forget that nature's table is always filled. We have these opportunities to be sort of, I don't want want to say tested, but to see how strong we can be in our no matter whatness, which, as Aggie read earlier in referring to Ernest Holmes, is this willingness and this capacity to turn away from conditions, no matter what. So there's always something hidden in the inner being. We know that there is something abiding within us that always knows, don't we? And that we may stumble, but that eternal voice will forever whisper in our ears, and it causes this eternal quest. I like that. Causes this eternal quest. What that means is that it's something within us that makes us get up again. It makes us move along, carry on, and continue to persist and persevere. So there's something within us, it's just like the instinctive movement of wildlife. It's something that we just do automatically because it comes from that part of us that is connected with all of life and knows that there is more. So listen to that whisper and follow that direction and go on that eternal quest. Stay on it. And it also says that this voice sings and sings. And you think about how the birds sing no matter what's on the news. They sing no matter what the weather is doing. They just sing. That's what they do. It is a beautiful example of that innocence and that trust. That just full-bodied assumption that everything is right as it needs to be. All is well. It's perfect. So we can even take a little advice or inspiration from those birds. So we have this concept of the trust fall, and we have this idea of letting go. And what happens? We seem to find exceptions along the way, probably because of impressions in early life. And we think, well, maybe what I need to do is handle this one by myself. Maybe this one thing I need to do by myself, right? And then what happens is we end up with the consequences of having made that choice, and we try to accomplish something, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, or a wonderful combination of all of those things. We try to do it on our own, and eventually we reach the limits of what we can do. So whether we find the end of the road, the edge of the cliff, or as the other proverbial saying goes, we paint ourselves into a corner, we somehow exhaust our capacity to do it by ourselves, and we ultimately have to ask for some kind of help, right? Anybody seen this one on a bumper sticker? I didn't know, I'm not sure that it is a Zen proverb just because the internet says so. Isn't that great? Oh, okay, we'll go back to this. Okay. Because what happens is, if we don't let go, it doesn't mean that universal law just says, okay, stand aside, this one's, holding on. We always get the consequences, those things which come with and after, whatever choices we make, whether they're conscious or unconscious. And so when we don't let go, when we try to do it alone, we will beautifully be led to the threshold of all of that, and then we will become ready. Ernest Holmes says nature waits upon man's discovery. So nature, has eternity and can wait until we reach that point where we say, you know what? I think I could use some help with this. I'm making it too crooked, too long, too hard, too scary, too difficult, and I'm done. And it's a beautiful thing that happens when we let go because, we don't want to do that. Because when we let go is when we make room for something. We make room for something. Think about it. When you let go of something you've been thinking about for too long and you say, you know what, my body, my brain is telling me I need to do something mindless right now. We were talking earlier about reading something that doesn't require too much thinking, or watching something. And Terry Cole Whitaker was saying, go out and be barefoot on the earth and don't bring any electronic devices. Try that on for size and let nature help you reset. So the beautiful, magical thing that happens when we give up is that we make room for life to rush in. We make room for Spirit to flow in. You've probably heard that because we are free, even though everything that is possible for us does exist, it cannot be given to us without our consent, by means of our belief. And so, even though all that good stuff is possible, it requires that we open to it. So what happens when we give up? When we give in? When we let go? We open, don't we? The other thing is that we make room. Now this is kind of funny because making room brings us to a lot of the assignments that we get in prosperity classes. Anybody have a few of those, like clean out your house or your drawers 15 minutes a day, right? Okay. So what happens when you give it a shot and you come across this beautiful old shirt or blouse, your favorite, football jersey or t-shirt from camp or something, and it doesn't look so good, but it has so many wonderful memories attached to it. What about, this is a fun one, what about that favorite pair of underwear that just isn't cutting it anymore, right? You can grab it with both hands, right? And just say, I'm going to just finish this off, so there's just no way I can get away with keeping this piece of clothing. And why would that be? Because there's no place for anything new to flow into our lives when it's occupied with the old stuff. We get to let go and trust. And there are times when we say, well, yeah, but when I got that pair of underwear or that car or that outfit, I had this other job and I was making lots of money and I don't know if I can afford to let go of this old car, this old pair of underwear, this old outfit. The thing is that when we give in to that mindset, it is impossible for new, fresh, good to flow in. We get to practice opening our minds and our hearts and our bodies and our closets and our drawers and our garages and we were talking about our sheds, right? We get to clear those out. I shared one time that I went through a big cleanse because I manifested this amazing job. My income quadrupled and I had to leave really fast. I paid my roommate to pack up for me, and I was just going like crazy for 10 days, throwing things away, taking things to Goodwill, 5 carloads, and so I had really narrowed it down because I was going to work on a boat, and you're only allowed to bring 2 duffel bags, soft-sided, nothing hard-sided, and nothing more than that. And so I did that, and then when I got back from this adventure, I had not set a clear intention as to what I would like to have my life, my surroundings, my possessions, my decor, etc. be like. I had not put an intention into that giant empty space that I had created. So when I came back, I met people with so much stuff very close to me that it was completely overwhelming, and I got to deal with it again. So when you let go and trust, also make sure to add intention. Otherwise, you have the opportunity to repeat the same cycle. See, we have a lot of responsibility in life, don't we? So we have this opportunity to let go and to trust, and we recognize that when we don't, this fun stuff happens. What does that really mean? It means that life is harder than it needs to be. That's all. It means that there's even perfection in that, because when we get tired and then we eventually give up and let go after we've tried everything we know how to do all by ourselves, we're brought back to this place right here. We're brought back to this place where we can trust. So, think about times in your life when you have actually done this and had some good outcomes. Can you remember any of them? Can you remember? A lot of us went through these the prosperity classes together. And we were doing two things. We were cleaning out 15 minutes a day, and we were also studying prosperity principles, and we were also setting intentions. We were also creating clear visions for our lives. And we were treating, we were meditating, we were tithing, we were serving. And so life was flowing, right? Life was flowing. Why am I speaking about that in the past tense? I have decided that even though that class isn't going on right now, that I'm very interested in doing some of that. And so I have been, not 15 minutes a day, but regularly, remembering that every time I open my mind and I make room in my life for what I desire, it has a place to come about. The other thing that I was sharing, and it's really great, is that you can trust desire itself. I was sharing this in class the other night and have said it before, but Raymond Holywell, in a book called Working with the Law, talks about desire in there. He talks about desire, and he says that when you desire something, it is an indication that the circumstances are ripe for that to occur in your life. They're actually ripe. Now think about that. In the past, when you have felt a desire come up, you might have had your old conditioning and your hidden beliefs tell you right away, oh no, I hate it when I desire something, because then it leads to disappointment, right? So what if you redefine desire and consider that you can trust it? That it only shows up in the way of things when circumstances are ripe. When there's enough of you that's able to recognize what it's about. And you have a readiness to be open to everything that's going to be showing up alongside you, within arm's reach at that time in your life. So consider trusting desire, redefining how you look at that. Redefining how you look at that. So the bottom line is that we need to let go. Why? Because life is so much greater than what we can accomplish or experience alone. And we know that we're ready to have more of that, don't we? We know that we're ready to have more of that. So even though we come up against some things that make us have to do this, and they bring us up to our terror barriers. They make us do things that we're not quite sure that we're going to get right. The bottom line is that when we let go and trust and do it anyway, amazing things happen. Beginning with the room that we make. Beginning with the room that we make and followed by those amazing outcomes that we couldn't have thought of, orchestrated, or brought about on our own best day. By ourselves. We know that this is true, and we know we've done it before, and what we can do is create a foundation of believing, of trust, based upon those old experiences. We start with the parking spaces. We move to pre-scripting, imagining a first date or a job interview. We move to identifying the qualities that we desire to have in a person in our life, or a home, or an automobile. You see, and we move to bigger and bigger things, and Spirit doesn't know big or small, so we can use all of those experiences as a foundation for what we're desiring and ready to experience next. And it always involves letting go and trusting. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to the next slide in just a moment, and I want you to know something else. We found this great song that I didn't know until about an hour ago. And I decided to let go and trust and learn it. And so you're going to do the same thing with me. And we're going to sing another great one that's a fun song from Karen Drucker about letting go and trusting. So just remember before we do that there's more to cleaning out your drawers in your garages. There's more to these talks and the bumper stickers and the things that we read and say than just reading and saying them. There's a whole world out there. There is that field of infinite possibility that can only become real to us when we let go, when we trust, when we open up and we make room for it. So let's do that, okay? Okay.